Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of The Blacklist Season 8, Episode 15, The Russian Knot. And this was not a bad episode. See what I'm doing here? Okay.
I had so much fun with this episode. I love Blacklist episodes that sort of have that really fun heist feel to it. This show does that stuff really well, like White Collar. I really love that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of really fun things in here. We got a lot of recurring characters who I really like. I've got a little bit of a beef, but I'll share that kind of later on in the video because I feel like overall
It's about beef. It's coming up.
there you go. That is your tease because I do think overall this is a much better episode than last week, which I think had a number of different flaws that you can sort of pick through here and there. But before we decode the Russian knot here, if you guys do enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, we don't have a Russian knot or anything like that. But we're going to do our best to take you through all the different theories, all the mystery around this show moving forward. And hey, why not be a part of the discussion? We love hearing from you guys.
Also follow us over on Instagram at Matt and Jess TV. We may not have the Russian knot going on over there, but we do have cute pics of our pets.
There you go. See, that's very good. It may not give you the answers to who is Reddington, but it will warm your heart.
That's right.
Hopefully. Okay, my favorite moment of this entire episode is really stupid. I'm just going to say that right away.
Is it the Aram part?
It is the Aram.
I knew it. It was good.
They call me Peanut.
No, I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, I love that it wasn't even in English. It didn't even matter. It was just okay, you guys aren't really giving Aram a storyline at all. I've made it no secret that I love Aram as a character, but just the little one-liners, in between all the fun of this episode. It's just nice to remember they still make Aram do all the, goofy stuff because Wrestler couldn't do this and it wouldn't be as funny.
No, and he has such good comedic timing on stuff. I mean, it was one of my favorite parts of the episode, too.
Yeah.
He always makes me laugh.
So they really went into this episode with all those promos, with all the, code and all these, references to Ilya and everything else, making us be like, okay, an answer is coming. Brace yourself. Did we get that?
No, listen, I don't think anybody actually thought that an answer was going to come. We are only in episode 15. Amir said on his Twitter, we are getting 22. If that is happening, 15 is not going to be the episode that's going to give us any answers. If we get any, episode 22 might be it.
Yeah, let's hope by then we at least have something. Because, yeah, at the forefront of this one, we had this Russian knot device, which Liz is convinced, okay, this will prove to us that Reddington is communicating with his handler, as we know, his friend from the East, and she's gonna find a way to make this work, but it is stored away.
But it seems like it's true, at least that much of it. By the end of the episode, they were able to decode it, and this is where we ended up, where it said, that we're ready to go ahead. We saw the friend from the East reading it. I mean, there's a lot of smoke on this.
Okay, we know that Reddington and the man from the East, they have this 30-year project that they've been trying to orchestrate for a while. And to me, we already know that Reddington is sort of saying we're at the end of it. So whatever this is, it seems like they are ready to go, all systems go on it. The thing I wonder is, in sort of a perfect world, whatever this endgame is, would this be the time that Reddington wanted to initiate it? Or is he doing this sort of reactively because he's like, oh no, Liz and Townsend are both trying to eventually kill me. I kind of need to speed things along here.
No, I don't think so. I think that Reddington has had many people up against him over the past 30 years that have probably been... I know that Townsend is sort of a crazy guy. We saw at the beginning of the episode, but I think that Reddington has gone up against people like him before. I think he's just sort of another person he has to get through. I don't think that he has sped it up. I think that he really is still on track, and it is just coming to an end.
Here's the one thing I find frustrating about the mobilize assets stuff and sort of the end game here is that at least for Reddington's identity, who he is, there's enough clues and enough smoke for us to be able to dance around, okay, maybe he's the real Reddington, maybe he's Katerina, maybe he's a sibling, all that sort of stuff. It's for what the end game is, Like, where are the clues on this? It's like really hard to even speculate on it when it doesn't feel like we have a lot to go on.
No, this sort of 30-year project, Endgame, has all just come up really this season. So, which is what I've been looking for, honestly, the past few years with this show. Because the first 7 seasons have really been, what is the relationship between Liz and Reddington? What is it? What is it? And we're all kind of like, okay, get to it. What is it? And I've wanted them to wrap it up so that we could move into a bigger mystery, which they have revealed this way bigger mystery. 30-year project. Is he N13? Is he working with the Russians? This is really meaty and this is really good. This is a huge mystery, but they didn't wrap up what is this connection over here.
The only thing I can think about when it comes to what Liz's role in this is like, she's got to be involved in setting up this endgame somehow. I think Reddington does clearly care about Liz, but I think just as much as him caring about Liz, he knows he can't kill her because she is essential to sort of setting up this endgame. And if this has not gone according to plan, I don't know if he's going to be able to get what he wants from her anymore.
Yeah, I think that he cares about her deeply. I mean, we will talk about the Anne, whether or not she's actually dead and if he would kill Liz for this. But I think that he needs to have Liz alive because she is the archive.
Yeah, she clearly, we talked a lot about this in the review last week. That scar is clearly connected to other stuff, whether it's implanted in her, whether it's something that's used to open the archive or whatever else. Like, she's clearly attached to this mystery somehow. Can we have a full freaking episode of just like the fire, the aftermath of the fire, who was there at the fire, the burns, just like give it to us all so that we all can at least have the peace of mind and knowing what the bleep happened then.
Yeah, they need to just kind of give us the layout like they did with the episode earlier with Cooper laying everything out to Panabaker.
Yeah, that would be nice. We would really appreciate that. Okay, can we talk Townsend for a minute here? Because here's the new form of timeout when you do a bad thing in the Liz and Townsend relationship. You get a bag over your head and you temporarily suffocate.
Okay, listen, the first part of it, when we saw Townsend, he had all his men out and they all had bags on their heads, all that made a lot of sense to me. I was like, of course he's going to be doing this. He was going to be insanely pissed off that everybody had Reddington and everybody let him go, mainly Liz, and that this was a message to kind of be like, listen, you were there. How did this happen? This was going to happen to all my men. Guess what's going to happen to you? Okay, that 100% I believe it.
Yeah.
Liz coming back in at the end and getting a bag over Townsend's head, 0 out of 10. I do not believe that Townsend did not have more people than the 4 people that he tortured or killed or whatever. I think that Liz was not going to be able to just walk in there with 3 of her people. He's not armed. He doesn't have anyone around him to get a bag over his head. I don't believe it. I'm sorry.
Where are Townsend still? Like, this isn't even the beef that I had in this episode, but
That's the beef that I have. I feel like with Townsend, he's going to be way more protected than this. He is not only going to have the woman who's helping him, his nurse, or whoever she really is. We haven't really gotten a lot about her. There is going to be more protection going on for all the things that he does, and then also just the paranoia of everything that happened with his family. I don't believe for a second that there wasn't people in that house protecting him, that Liz and 3 other people could come in and do that. No.
Were all of Townsend's stooges just having a stooge retreat somewhere else where they were doing team building exercises? Did he temporarily employ all the people from the Eastern Division that earlier this season completely just screwed up and were terrible?
Listen, I get that they want to show that Liz is trying to have some sort of partnership or equal here with Townsend. But the truth of it is, she is not equal with Townsend. And in the last episode, it felt like she got it, that she had stepped too far out into the ocean and she was about to get swallowed up. Her coming in with her 3 stooges to kind of be like, okay, now we're going to put a bag on your head. No. She needs to keep sort of stepping out of this ocean and out of this ring.
Liz, I'm gonna talk to you now because I know you're watching. Liz, listen, I know you were proven right on some stuff. I know you're kind of feeling yourself a little bit at the end. You want to like flex here a little bit to Townsend and
Is that
be
a
like,
flex?
yeah, that is a terrible flex. But you know, I know you want to. Yeah, okay, see. That is a better flex than the one I just did. So you clearly want to go in there and do your little flex posing show in front of Neville, but you know what? Don't do a flex show in front of a crazy man. Like, Neville is a crazy man. Neville is gonna, like, come back and do terrible things to you. And, like, you're trusting Agnes with Mrs. French, who, you know, we still believe because of your theory is really Katerina. Even if she's dangerous, that's still one person protecting Agnes as opposed to Townsend and all of his, like, Townsend stooges.
Yeah, Townsend has been on a revenge tour for decades. Like, this is not new for him. He has been plotting and working with this for so long. And Liz, you have been doing this for like a couple of episodes. It was very hard to believe that, and also hard to believe that she would take that risk. I get that she wants him to know that they are partners in this, but they really are not. And he can easily show her how much they are not partners like this.
Here's one thing I really did like. I like that at least not all of the task force was made out to be idiots in this episode. Like, they actually did have a win temporarily amidst all the heist stuff with Rudiger and Liz, and we had, like, Liz and Park got into a fight. It's
and
like,
Cooper!
Yeah.
Oh, Cooper, I loved this so much.
I know where you're talking here.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we've talked about how compromised Wrestler is.
Yeah.
Beyond compromised. So compromised that I do not understand how he has not been taken off this team, honestly. Yeah. I love that Cooper straight up lied to him and was like, yeah, bring in Liz. Sure, you have my word, wink, wink. I will not arrest her, wink, wink. Like, okay, Cooper, you are redeeming yourself, because there was a little time that you were compromised and living in the gray area. You are no longer doing that. You have the arrest out for her. You are going to do what it takes to bring her in. That is the right thing to do. I was very happy with that.
Yeah, we had a couple of kind of wins for the task force here, even though I know it didn't go as Cooper had intended, but at least...
It never does.
No, but at least his heart was in the right place there. At least they didn't completely screw up getting the Russian nod in the first place. I did also love the moment where you've got Park and Liz fighting in, like, the basement, and Cooper's just up there being like, this is very fine art.
Yeah. No, and it was good to actually see that fight as well, because... like I've said, the whole task force feels like they're pretty compromised. Park even called out Aram at one point, was like, what are you going to bring her in and give her a hug? Like, there has to be somebody on this task force that is willing to do what it takes to bring Liz in. And this is where Park is becoming a more important part of this task force. She is there doing what she is supposed to do, which is bring Liz in.
I kind of like that Park was actually winning the fight, too, before Wrestler showed up, because it's the same sort of thing. We're not seeing a lot of, like, Liz fight training montages here. We've already seen Park fight. I would not want to fight Park, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, Park will do what it takes to end a fight. We know that Liz is trained, too. She's an FBI agent, but it was cool to see Rudiger come in and knock out Park and, all right, time to go sort of thing, and have that moment where he's like... I've always wanted to have that hero moment.
Congratulations to you, Rudiger. I might have said it was Wrestler, but no, it was Rudiger in that moment. But, you know, I liked a lot of this stuff. Now, we got to talk about my beef here.
All right, let's have your beef.
Let's go a little bit to the end of the episode, because these numbers are alphanumeric characters. Like, I know this was a lie.
I know where you're going with this.
I could figure this out. This is something when you're like 10 years old. It's on your box of like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and you can sort of figure this out. Like, Reddington, you're a smart... You got to come up with a little bit of a better lie than, the numbers correspond with the letters.
Yeah, I mean, that felt really weak. I'm glad that they kind of switched it a little bit further when Liz figured out what it really is, but I was kind of like, come on, You're talking to Cooper. Cooper is not an idiot, and it made it feel like Cooper is a little bit of an idiot, and he really isn't. No. So, yeah, I agree. For your beef, 10 out of 10,
Okay.
man. It really wasn't. I don't
Yeah.
believe that Cooper would have bought that.
I think we've got in our two beefs here some real, like, grade A, like, Kobe beef quality beefs here with this show. But, you know, there are a couple more things to talk about here. We'll do the Anne mystery first because there's one more thing about Paula that we'll get to at the end. But
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Anne.
Okay.
So, usually the rule on TV is no body, no death.
Yeah.
We've seen that over and over again, not just on this show, but on every show.
Yeah.
Sort of even sometimes you see pictures of a body like on Luther and they're still not dead.
Yeah.
Spoilers for people who haven't seen Luther, but get on that.
it's years ago.
It's years ago, but that's sort of been the rule on TV. So we saw Anne hit the table real hard. We've seen her bleeding out from her head. And then we saw Reddington down with her saying, please don't leave me, please don't leave me. Then we saw him on the bench remembering everything. I personally think she's dead. And I really hope I take an L on this. But from the way he was acting and how broken down he is, I think if he knew that she was alive, safe somewhere, in that moment with him alone before even Dembe showed up, he wouldn't be acting like that. He would be, oh, thank goodness she's alive somewhere. I don't have to worry about this. He might be a little more relieved, but it didn't seem that way. He seemed like he was hurting.
Okay, I'm gonna put on a lot of tinfoil for
Here
this
we
moment
go.
here because here's the thing. There's two sides of my brain. There's the reasonable side of my brain, and there is the unreasonable side of my brain, which is that same one that temporarily thought that Tom might still be alive earlier this season, and that.
Listen, no body, no death. And the only way that we got information about Tom's death was
Yeah.
a retelling from Red. So that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, we could go at a point of view and all that. Like, yeah, there's always a possibility for anything on this show. But here's the tiniest bit of smoke I have on this, and here's my theory.
Here we go. Buckle up, everyone. We're hitting the curve.
Anna's in a coma. Okay, and here's why I think Anna's in a coma.
I hope not.
This
That's
is heartbreaking,
so sad.
but I think because the thing I'm trying to figure out here, and there's really only one clue that I have that she may not be completely dead, and that is that at first he said Anne had a daughter to Dembe, and then he corrected himself and he said Anne has a daughter. Now, present tense, that may just be him being sort of wistful and him not being able to accept her death as of yet. We know clearly he's having a hard
Sure.
time with it. But I'm also trying to think here of how could he sort of go and justify this conversation to her daughter? How could he still sort of feel that longing and that pain we saw in that montage you're talking about? Like, I think one way that they could pull all this off is that Anne's clearly not going to be in good shape. Like, she was bleeding out. Like, if she's alive, she's not up, like, walking around having a good time.
No, the other reason that I think Anne is dead is because, one, if Anne was alive and she wasn't in a coma, she would never greenlight Reddington going over and telling her daughter that she's dead. Reddington showing up, a wanted fugitive, at her daughter's house puts her daughter at way more risk than Anne just showing up and being like, come on, we got to go away somewhere together. The other thing is I don't think that Reddington himself would go there and straight up lie to her daughter and say, by the way, your mom is dead. I don't think he would put somebody through that kind of pain, because eventually, I'm sure if Anne ever came out of her coma or anything like that, she would want to see her daughter. I can't see Reddington doing something that's that cruel. And I know he, can be a bad man and do bad things, but he's also somebody who cares very deeply for people, and he cares very deeply for Anne. I just can't see him going there and lying about Anne's death.
That is where I have a hard time with it. That's where the logic comes in, because Reddington, he doesn't really lie flat out. Like, he'll spin the truth, and he'll tell half-truths, and he won't disclose information.
Even with the money,
Yeah.
when she asked, is this money coming from this fugitive? He said, I can't tell you that. I don't know that.
Yeah.
Or, kind of leaving out. He fully knows that it is from him.
Most of my brain thinks that she's probably dead. I am not at the acceptance level of it yet. I think I still have the coma part of it in my head, but we will see where it goes.
The weirdest thing about it is that Reddington was the one that told her daughter that it seems like a week since she's passed away, and nobody called her to tell her that her mom has passed away. And she even said, oh, we just talked about her will and sort of what was going on like a month ago. Somebody would have contacted her. I'm a former funeral director. I've mentioned it on the channel before. Somebody would have contacted her.
Yeah.
If she's the next of kin, that is probably, and she's talking to her about her will and what she wants or what is going to be happening. Somebody would have called her to say, your mom has passed away. You're the next of kin or executor of the will or whatever. You need to come in and deal with this. And if you can't, you need to tell us who can deal with this. It's very weird that no one contacted her.
Especially since, one-hand's friends with a cop. And, as far as we know, that cop's still okay. That cop didn't die in the shootout. So I think that's certainly possible. Okay, now we get to close on, I think, is what is a really high note, because I love Paula. I love this whole storyline with the pumpkin cheesecake.
Do you have something to tell me? The pumpkin was canned. That was so good. I love Paula, and I love the idea that she's going to be sort of stepping into this role. So good.
I love that, we have also Glenn sort of, writing his own, weird, I don't know, My Cousin Vinny screenplay.
And Redding's like, I can't believe he did this. Demi's like, I can't.
all of that was great. I love that they're kind of keeping the spirit of Clark Middleton alive.
I love that.
I thought that the Glenn tribute was going to be it, and, there was a little bit of buzz that Paula was going to be in this episode, and I was just sort of like, how is this going to work? What else are they going to really do with her?
Yeah, and I love that it all came out honestly, where Dembe sat down and said to Reddington, so Paula contacted me, and she ended the call by being like, thanks, Dembe, I'll see you in Reddington later. And he's like, the cat's out of the bag. Where Reddington's like, what about Bill and Steve? Oh, that's over.
Yeah, there was so much fun in that. And I think that's what a lot of my takeaway is with this episode, is that, we have some structural problems with a few things here or there. And
overall, I really enjoy this. I love the stuff with Paula, the stuff with, Aram was great.
Yeah.
The heist was super fun.
Yeah.
I love the Blacklist when they do stuff like this so much.
I even love the 20 Liz Keens that were running around the park or whatever.
I love that, actually.
Yeah.
At first, when I saw her sitting there in her red jacket, I was kind of like, bad fashion choice. Why would you pick red of all the colors? You're going to be the most noticeable. And then all the red jackets came out. I was like, this is really fun. I
kind of wonder, I just have this picture in my head of Liz putting a Craigslist ad up and just being like, everyone who shows up at the park in this red jacket, you get $100 or something. Yep. Okay, well, let's hand this over to you guys. If Liz put up an ad on Craigslist giving you money to wear a jacket in the park, are you saying yes? And beyond that,
that'd be a lot of money.
Yeah, what did you guys think about the Russian knot? Have any thoughts, theories? Could Anne somehow still be alive? Are you joining me in that weird corner of the universe? Share in the comments, and if you do like this video, subscribe, give us a like, support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.